I was lucky growing up that every day I came home to someone who told me that if I worked hard and believed in myself, I could accomplish all of my goals. That person was Oprah Winfrey. Her show was on every day after school. Well, my parents, they were a bit more, suspicious of my future potential. They always used to tell me, Mike, you're never gonna be successful until you figure out that good enough isn't good enough. And your work is always just good enough. Which is some tough love to give to a 10-year-old, okay? So I grew up with this weird dichotomy of like an overly eager sense of ambition, clearly compensating for a severe lack of self-esteem. So it's not a surprise that as an adult, I ended up working in an industry whose motto is fake it till you make it. Cable television. At 26, I got sent on my first big TV shoot. And I thought, okay, this is my chance to prove I can be successful. I can do this. And I thought if I go, if I'm there whenever they need me, doing whatever I can to help and acting professional, this will be my big break. I get to the hotel and I'm sitting there waiting for the pre-pro meeting. Pre-pro is pre-production, and it's when like the director and everybody else gets together and talks about the shoot the following day. And I get a text from one of my coworkers who's like, hey, where are you? And I'm like, I'm at the hotel waiting for the meeting to start. And he's like, oh, the meeting is at the studio on the other side of town, and it starts in 5 minutes. So I flip out, I run out of the hotel, I jump into a cab, I scream, I need to get to Tyler Perry Studios! And the cab driver says, I don't know where that is! And I'm like, Google it! He starts driving, and I call my girlfriend, and I'm like, Molly, I screwed everything up. It was my one chance, and I ruined it. And she's like, oh, God, what's going on? What's going on? I'm like, I missed the one meeting. Good enough wasn't good enough. Which I'll admit is a lot of emotional baggage to bring to a surprise midday phone call, okay? I arrive 30 minutes later at Tyler Perry Studios, and I'm standing in the lobby, and there's a fountain. And on the fountain, it says, Tyler Perry Studios, where wishes go to dream, which is confusing because it doesn't make any sense. And also, I'm living a nightmare right now. I am ushered into the meeting and my boss glares at me and she's like, oh, Mike, so glad you could make it. And I can't sleep that entire night because I'm thinking, I gotta make this up, gotta do something tomorrow on set. So I wake up early, I get there, I'm giving out coffee to people who don't drink coffee, I'm making copies of copies. I don't know what to do because I am the writer of this spot. And really my only job on set is to inform the director and the actors about what I was thinking when I wrote my brilliant words. So by the time our first actor arrives, I'm all wired. And he walks through the door. It's Tyler Perry. Tyler is tall and he is handsome and he also owns the entire complex we are working at. The man has a presence about him, and when the lights come on and the cameras start rolling, they hand him the script that I've written. And my script is a bunch of lines for Tyler to tell his fans to come watch his new show. They hand him the script and Tyler goes, oh, this for me? Nah, I got this. Crumples it up and tosses it aside. Tyler proceeds to improvise for about 15-20 minutes, doing lines that are exceptionally better than anything I have worked the last 6 weeks writing. Because somehow, Tyler Perry is better at writing for Tyler Perry than someone who looks like this. He spends the rest of the morning shooting scenes and embellishing my script in a way that makes my writing look, frankly, just like lazy. Like I just got complacent, and by the time we get to lunch, all I'm sitting there thinking is, I was late, I couldn't bother to write a tougher script. It was just good enough was good enough again, which is like the right amount of emotional baggage if you're burying your feelings while eating like a big pork sandwich, just like really getting sad over lunch. And all I can think is, there's no way the next actor is gonna read my lines about some stupid idea where it's like Tyler Perry writes, directs, and produces, but he does everything too, or whatever I've written. There's no way this is happening. They call lunch, and the next actor through the door is, of course, Oprah Winfrey. If Tyler is a star, Oprah is a supernova. The moment she walks through the door, everyone's gaze is just drawn immediately to her. We all start applauding just spontaneously. The closest I can come to understanding what it's like to being Oprah Winfrey, I think, is like if you've ever had a surprise birthday party, you know, and you come in and you open the door, everyone's like, hooray, we're just so happy you're here because of you being you. Oprah gets that every time she walks into a room every day of her life. That's Oprah. And I'm like, and she's got this entourage, and it's not like an HBO bromance entourage of her buddies from back home. No. It is her personal hair and makeup, of course, a journalist from Ebony Magazine who is doing a profile on her, and then half a dozen underprivileged girls from the local community with whom she is spending the day because Oprah is a national treasure. Like a fish to water, she says, everyone, let's have a great shoot. And we're all like, we will for you. Yes, yes. Lights are on, cameras start rolling, she sits down, and I think there's no way she's gonna say my lines, but I at least want to just see her do what she does best. So I sneak behind the director, and I look at his monitor, and she says, you know, when Tyler Perry decided to come to the Oprah Winfrey Network, I knew he'd be writing, directing, and producing, but I never thought he'd be doing everything, which is line for line, verbatim, what I had written. And I am filled with this, for the first time in my career, sense of accomplishment and like amazing sense of collaboration that I got to work with someone so amazing, but also an intoxicating level of power. Because my words are coming out of Oprah Winfrey's mouth. She and Tyler spend the rest of the day like goofing off and shooting the scenes that I have written, and they have a blast, and everything goes great. When the director calls wrap, everyone's like, hooray, and we're all congratulating one another. I'm saying thank you to the crew. When Sherry walks over, Sherry, for those of you who are a fan of The Oprah Show, will know she was the longtime executive producer of The Oprah Show, and at the time, she was the president of the Oprah Winfrey Network. She comes over, she grabs me, and she says, Mike, it was so great to work with you, and she gives me a big hug, and I'm like, oh, thanks, Sherry. That's like really nice of you to say. She goes, you know what? You need to meet Oprah. Time just slows down at this point for me. She wraps her arms around me and she begins to walk me across the studio. And all I'm trying to think is, be professional, be professional. Fake it, Mike, fake it. Pretend like you've been here before. We break the outer orbit of Oprah's like giant entourage. And she says, Oprah, you have to meet Mike, our brilliant writer. And Oprah turns around. She smiles. She shakes my hand. She says, hi, Mike. It's so nice to meet you. And I stand there, shaking Oprah's hand with this look on my face. And I say, nothing. For moment after awkward moment, nothing. Because the only thing my brilliant writer brain can think right now is, holy shit, you're Oprah. And you can't say that to Oprah. So I start looking around, like my gaze drifts because I'm trying to get some sort of third-party affirmation that this is actually happening and not some sort of dream that one of my wishes is having. I look at my boss, and I look at the director, and then when I look back at Oprah, a woman who I imagine has met a few crazy fans in her day, she gives me this look. Okay, nice to see you, Mike. And like that, she's gone. So it's clear I've got a lot of faking it still to do if I'm ever gonna make it. And I haven't accomplished all my professional goals yet, but I've come a long way from where I started. And I feel like, you know what? If my work can be good enough for Oprah, that's good enough for me. Thanks.